and welcome. Today we have with us Emma and Chrissy, who just recently went to the College Media Association, the Spring National Conference. Today we're going to talk to them about their experience there. So Emma, could you start off giving us a little bit of an overview of what you did or what the week looked like?
Yeah, it was basically held in one of the hotels in middle of New York, and there was a lot of different sessions that we were allowed to basically subscribe to because they actually went mobile this year and put stuff on an app. That way they could sort of send out notifications if something were canceled or if a room got moved. A lot of them had to deal with censorship this year and issues with the First Amendment that a lot of people face. And basically you would sign up for various different sessions, and you would go to them in different rooms, and there was tons of different speakers.
Could you tell me each your favorite thing about the conference?
There was a speaker that came in that I really appreciated. His name was Chuck Golsterman, and he taught me something that I have been struggling with for a really long time, which was you have to believe in yourself even when no one else will.
Like Chuck was probably the most, the one that stood out in my mind the most, because he's been in it for so long. He went into the evolution of mass media itself. So he talked about how when he started, they were all on typewriters and everything had to go back in manual, and now he's like, well, you can basically just do things on your phone. He's like, I could publish something on my phone. And that to him was mind-blowing, and that it's just continually evolving. And another thing that I went to was ironically looking at superheroes who were journalists, but she tied it into real-world journalism and how not to be like them. It was most basically just kind of a fun little thing, but she talked about the falsification of information and painting it in a bad light. And she went into censorship and how it's really it's an issue. There's people who want to censor everything, and there's people who don't want to censor a thing at all.
With the censorship, have you seen that play out in your own experience?
I think Johnson is too afraid of media, not just journalism. Mm-hmm. I think, and they have a right to be afraid. This place has been here for years, and it originally wasn't anything like this. It was originally just for ministry, and I know that change is scary, mm-hmm. but at the same time I think they need to embrace it more, and they need to maybe start dropping down a little bit of that tightness on the reins that they have, because if they don't, then the students aren't going to get anywhere. We're not going to understand anything until we're plucked in the middle of everything, and mm-hmm. not necessarily always the right way to go. With the whole censorship thing, I think there needs to be more communication between the people who might think that we might slander the name of Johnson, because in reality that's not what any of us want to do.
Like Emma said, it can be scary, mm-hmm. but it's more of a person problem. Mm-hmm. The issues that they're afraid of comes from people who want to hurt, who want to tear down. Johnson students don't want to hurt or tear down or offend anyone. We simply want to spread the truth.
What maybe did you specifically learn at the conference about your majors?
Flexibility. For journalism, be flexible. Don't be so set in your ways. And always be open-minded.
One thing that I learned, because the conference wasn't necessarily specifically geared towards public relations,
sure.
But it did help me in learning that when you write truthfully, write straight, but write a good story.
So you kind of mentioned before networking. Were there any businesses or people that you met where you were I could see myself working with them? And if so, what kind of work did they do?
In the main hall of the conference, there weren't a lot of organizations. There were, but it was more colleges or a couple of the organizations that weren't necessarily looking for people for jobs. It was just this is what we do.
Okay.
Sort of start to get involved. The one I sort of picked up on the most was Reporters Without Borders, and it works with foreign correspondents and journalists who are out there in the world reporting back to all of their respective companies.
I really liked FIRE. They help students who don't have a voice find their voice. They help them to figure out what to say and how to say it right.
I think we're going to wrap it up, but first I would just ask, as a prospective student who might be interested in this conference next year, why, just in a few words, should they go?
Definitely because it opens your mind. Like, being on such a small campus, you kind of forget that the world is out there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're there, you're in like the metropolitan hub of everything media related.
Because it's fun, because it's really exciting, but also because the people there. I mean, I made tons of really good relationships during this conference that I loved. You'd be amazed at how quickly you can become really good friends with someone.
Well, it sounds like you guys had a great time. This has been Maggie, Emma, and Chrissy.